Today we're going to be discussing the Faceless ones. This is an episode that was very recently animated, and I am super excited to talk about it. But one thing I have to clarify before I start this review is that I am not actually going to be discussing the animated version of this episode. I delayed this series so that I could get a chance to watch it, and unfortunately I haven't just because of world situations right now. I'm not able to actually make it to my P.O. box to get the Steelbook, so I am basing this review entirely on the audio. I promise you that as soon as I actually get a chance to watch the animated version of the episode, I will discuss it and I will bring you a review. But for now, I really don't want to delay this series. I want to get back into releasing these reviews, so we're going to be discussing the audio and the two surviving episodes for the Faceless ones. With all that established, let's get started. So I was hoping that this season would pick up, and fortunately it did. I don't think this is a particularly loved episode, but it is possible it is receiving some much-deserved reappraisal right now. So the Doctor and his TARDIS team end up on Earth in the middle of an airplane runway, and immediately they see an airplane overhead, which Jamie refers to as a beastie, and I just love that. That really made me laugh. So before too long, Polly discovers the dead body of a man who was electrocuted by a ray gun, and sure enough, everyone gets caught up in the drama. Something this episode does really well was keep me hooked in this story. There kept being developments where I questioned, oh, I wonder what that is, or they would reveal something and it would intrigue me, and that's what most of the cliffhangers were, and it actually worked really well for me. The first cliffhanger was probably the most interesting, and it was less of a cliffhanger because people weren't in any danger, but it was a reveal, and because it was fairly early on, I'm not going to really classify it as spoilers. It was a pretty big part of the episode, but what we see is this kind of grotesque and creepy looking creature, and I just think it looked really cool. I genuinely really like the design work on this thing. It really impressed me quite a bit. And finding out what it is these creatures are and what they are doing is genuinely interesting, and I always found myself curious for more information. Also, there is this one character, Captain Blade, and this actor works really well for me. He's just very cold and calculating, and he goes about doing things quietly, and he always seems to know more than everyone else, and his character really worked for me. The actor, I think, sold that part quite well. And as mentioned earlier, this episode is partly missing. 4 of the 6 parts of this story are not in the BBC archives, which is really unfortunate, especially because episode 2 is missing, meaning that when we discover what the weird creature does, we can't actually see it, which is just such a shame, and we don't really get to see Captain Blade's performance much, which is also a shame. I mean, just in general, it is a shame because I would have liked to have seen this one, but I was able to see episodes 1 and 3 at the very least, which is fortunate, and of course I am looking forward to seeing the animated version of the story whenever it is possible for me to. And I shouldn't have to say this, but Patrick Troughton is just so great in this part. I love him as the Doctor, and he plays quite well against everybody that he encounters. He's just great. There is this weird thing where Ben and Polly are absent for the majority of this story, and I'm not entirely sure why this choice was made, but it was, and I was okay with that because I don't care too much about them. I have a spoiler section now, which is relatively small and pretty minor, considering you probably already know about the main thing in this story I want to talk about. But if you don't know what I'm going to be talking about, then you probably don't know what it is, meaning that you should skip ahead to the time shown on screen. So right, I'm going to give you a moment, and if you're still with me, then let's discuss the very few spoilers that I have about the story. The main thing I want to talk about is that Ben and Polly leave the show, which is fine by me. I mean, I never really liked them that much. They were always just kind of there. And in fairness, the reason that they leave makes sense. They're back home at the same time that they left, and it's their home. They want to be there. I'm actually glad that they left, if only for the fact that it brought out a line from the Doctor when they were talking about getting home, and he said, "You're lucky. I never got back to mine." That was interesting, and I'm very interested for when Classic Who will touch on that more. So yeah, I'm just happy that I got a pretty strong episode. Season 4 is shaping up pretty nicely, and if the finale delivers, and I have already seen it at this point, but if by my estimation the finale delivers, then Season 4 might just end up being my favorite so far, even though there are a couple of episodes that I won't be remembering super well. Overall, this episode was pretty strong. It had interesting elements and antagonists, some really curious moments, and it really just entertained me throughout and kept me invested as the story progressed. Patrick Troughton is as great as always, and most things in this episode worked well, even though the episode doesn't totally utilize all of its main characters. The Faceless Ones was a very strong story, and I'm going to give this one a rating of 8.25 out of 10. So yeah, that is my thoughts on this episode without having seen the animated story. As said before, I'm super excited to watch it. I can't wait for when I will have that opportunity, but just due to the fact that I can't get to my PO box, I'm going to be saving this animated episode for a later date when it is safe for me to do so. I'm super excited to see it, but for now, we're just going to be moving forward with season 4, and I promise you, I will review it when possible. Next is The Evil of the Daleks, which I am excited to talk about. That should be in a couple of days now. I'm expecting this coming Sunday, and throughout the month of April, I'm going to be doubling down on the classic Doctor Who reviews. That's right, I'm going to be doing them as much as possible to catch up for March and get back on kind of the schedule that I had planned out. So yeah, if you have any thoughts on the Faceless ones, be sure to let me know, whether it's the animated version or the audio version or just the parts that are available. Whatever it is, be sure to leave something down below. I'll be happy to have a discussion. And with all of that said, that's going to do it for now, folks. I hope to see you around soon for more classic Doctor Who reviews, as well as a number of discussions on the current series. So I hope to see you around for those, but if not, that's totally cool. Just know that I appreciate your time here today. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and have a lovely week.